This just in! Trump stuns a CPAC. RFK goes after SSRIs, and Zelensky zooms into the arms of Arabs while Erdogan enacts his plan to put Neuralink hair transplants in Eric Adams.
Dear diary, today I caught a lizard and took him outside. He was skinny, and I was happy he could go and eat bug. I gained 2 pounds in the last 2 weeks. I want a pizza. Me and the 10 out of 10 tall, smart, sweet Aryan baddie I pulled by not being a creepy neo-Nazi. Yeah, it's that simple. It's that simple, folks. It's that simple.
Fellas, take note. You do not want to be languishing out in the uncharismatic wastes of inceldom for all of your life. All of your life. Don't do it. You just drop that crap. Drop that crap. Look at where it gets you. No amount of money in the world, no amount of lasers and rockets in the world can give you charisma. Just a little hint for you. You see tons and tons of cute, nerdy girls. You see multitudes of nerds in happy, healthy relationships. But you don't see a lot of neo-Nazi couples. They're out there, but it's rare because that garbage scares women. Straight up. There's a Pacific Theater vet at my church who I talked to a bunch, and he's told me some very, very heartbreaking stories about the realities of war. And I knew this for a while, so we can go on for a long conversation, but it deepens the depth of understanding of the horrors, like the horrors of baking, burning Japanese people to death in caves, men, women, children, because they weren't going to surrender. There was a guy with a grenade in there, and he wasn't going to surrender. They didn't know English, and they were afraid of being sexually assaulted by the Marines, which apparently was a genuine, unfortunate reality of the war. Overplayed by the propaganda, but still a reality. It's sad to see. It's sad to hear about, and that's the reality of war. Not a game. You must know your history. And a good way of refreshing history on the Pacific Theater, Dan Carlin's Hardcore History is not perfect. I can tell it's a little slanted, but I can also feel the dedication to creating a listenable, enjoyable history report. And it's venerable. And his Supernova in the East series was released for free on YouTube. Strongly suggest checking it out. It's gut-wrenching. It definitely goes over the history of probably one of the most terrifying, horrifying, gruesome war campaigns of all wars of all times. According to Diddy's former lawyer, who is quitting his case, by the way. He's quitting with contempt. Diddy is worse than Bin Laden. That was the lawyer that represented Osama Bin Laden, and he can't handle P. Diddy. It's that bad, folks. It's that bad. Hollywood is that bad. Anyways, lighter topic. I really hope Pikmin gets a wider project and genuine investment. It's always been more of a quality showcase for Nintendo. But if the newest Pikmin generation is anything to go on, they're falling off extremely bad. So I hope they can crank out not just the newest newest Pikmin generation, the newest Pokemon generation, which is awful. They turned a Pokemon into a motorcycle because people weren't autistic enough about motorcycles. Like really, sheesh. Come on now. It's really stupid, and it's way less successful, and it will not stand out in history. It will not stand the test of time. And so I really hope that they can crank out a huge map with different landing zones, various speed increases, as many new species as they can imagine, etc., etc. Because the Pikmin team has a lot of love. They got a lot of love. They respect animals a lot. They respect nature a lot. The entire story of Pikmin is like this is the world after it nuked itself with its idiocy, and how beautiful observing nature with a jeweler's lens is from a microscopic perspective, since Olimar is like 1/100th, 1/50th, 1/70th the size of a person. Probably 1/70th the size of a person. Yeah. There's an interesting book that I've been rereading. I've read it multiple times. It's called Irish Wisdom Preserved in Bible and Pyramids. That's the exact title. Not the Bible, Bible and Pyramids. It is one of the greatest and funniest anthroposophy books ever written. It would make Himmler blush. We was pyramids. We was lost tribe. Lost tribe of Israel? Nah, son. You the lost tribe of Ireland, man. We invented the sun, dagnabbit. Absolute keto. Please check it out. It is so funny. Gets a little bit into the book to actually get super, super funny. First, it's just like etymology and stuff like that, but it gets so funny. It's like the guy had like a full-blown mental breakdown in the middle of writing the book, and it's really, really, really funny. You want to talk about lolcow books? That is one of them. And it's anthroposophy, which is it's instead of Aryans, it's Irish. You feel me? Super funny. Super funny. Check it out. And then there's the Iran areas. Blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying. It's real funny. Anthroposophy is really, really fun to dig into. Definitely more fun than theosophy, which is like cruel, sick, nasty, disrespectful on so many different levels. Whereas anthroposophy is like Dungeons and Dragons. You know, it's like racism is the core, but then it can be so funny if people don't take it as law. Because of course it's just imaginary philosophy of... It's a philosophy of science. It isn't even an exact science. It's a philosophy of speculative science, like speculative evolution. You know, I talked about creatures of the week, speculative evolution, and stuff like that. It's, you know, just concept art for creatures, concepts for people, and the origins and the directions that they've traveled. Fascinating stuff. Fascinating stuff. You know how keto bros avoid sugar at all costs? And you know how Jews were the heavy lifters of the slave trade? Caribbean slave colonies were all about sugar, baby. So keto is anti-Semitic! Chasing neo-Nazis around with my giant skull calipers. I just want to see if you're dysgenic! Let me see your skull! Oh. I hate the far left and the far right. The Zionists and the Nazis. Yet still I'm full of love, baby. And something from last episode, and in general, I apologize about some of my points being stubs. It's like when I talked about guts from Berserk last episode, I wanted to link it in from the inspiration that the artist Miura got from Fist of the North Star and Conan. And another Conan link. And how it went into Dark Souls. And so you can literally see like the Conan split, like if I put it on the board, like goes up from Lovecraft, goes into Conan, D&D, Warcraft, Dark Souls, all these. If it wasn't for Conan, we wouldn't have half of the really, really cool, really inspired. And like you go back and you watch Family Guy sketches, for instance, you'll see a tremendous amount, if you know your like know your history, you'll see a tremendous amount of influence being borrowed from old shows. Like, genuinely, you do not own every single thought that comes out of your head, and if you do, you're a dumbass. You're one of the biggest dumbasses if you think that you own every single thought that comes out of your head, because you yourself are just laying claim to something that isn't yours, and you're preventing it from being turned into something with genuine kino, because you want to just hold it in your own little arms and call it yours forever. That's wrong. You don't do that. You don't do that as a creator, and you don't do that in general. That's why IP law is disgusting, and it's a moral imperative to pirate things. Just saying. Just saying. Also, how Guts' admixture. See, okay. So I looked at a ton of pictures of historical pictures of noses and stuff. There's a lot of Germans with huge honking noses, but here's the thing. This is kind of a dull, and it hit me as a dull. Berserk, pagan Celtic and Germanic warriors. They would take mushrooms and charge into battle with naked and fight with incredible intensity. And that's what a berserker is. That's where the word comes from. And I'm pretty sure the word is Germanic in origin, but the Celts were apparently reported to have done that as well. And so, he's legitimately just a representation of a stylized pagan European in the middle of, I think Griffin represents the incredibly, Griffith represents the incredibly astute and, the words are escaping me right now, but the hoity-toity type of high French general that would be destined to become a serious leader through his military tactics. It all feels very French, that's why I said that. But then I started talking about his nose, and I was just like, well, it could be, and because of his hair, it's black, it could be Italian, but the sharpness of a nose is usually very German representation, very German, and the low bridge up top is very Celtic. So with Germans, you have small noses that tend to be, especially northern German, Nordic, you have small noses that tend to be attached to the tip in a line. And they don't go over, and they don't go under. The Celts go under, the aquiline from the south go over. And the Italians, a lot of them have aquiline noses, but you get a variety of different noses in Italy. You just have a variety of spread, a full spread. There's a melting pot, as all roads and all nose led to Rome. But yeah, it could either indicate it like a Charlemagne, or I kind of wanted to pitch the Arthurian potential there, because Arthur was kind of kind of Irish, kind of British, kind of Roman. And then you also have the Charlemagne angle, but even the Roman Dutch inspiration. But after reading a good chunk of the manga, which I did way back when, I can definitely say it's pagan Europe. It incorporates a whole lot of pagan European lore, and that's that. And that's where the Berserkers were. That's Berserk. Simple as that. Simple as. So I got a little story of when I was in jail, and I got into a fight when I was out in the tents, and we got sent over to 300's lockup, 23 and a half hours, alternating days, half an hour every other day, take a shower, etc., etc. 300s are the bubble. I've also been in the bubble, and the lockup solitaries. Also, you have solitary with 2 or 3 other people, and I was there. It was very interesting because the guy had jammed a fork in the faucet, and it would run a bunch of hot water, and the entire thing was steamed. It was really comfortable, actually. Did not get cold. The guy also fed me. The guy's name was Zero. He just fed me out of the kindness of his heart. He was a little strange, but he got along really, really famously with everybody there. But they would call it Sparta. Not just because it was 300s, but because people were loud and aggressive inside of their cells. They'd lay on their backs, and they'd slam the doors and just make noise all day, and sometimes all night, and I have no idea why. And Zero could sleep through it. I couldn't. So what I did is I carved out of my flip-flop with my thumbnail a earplug, and I put earplugs in. And one of the earplugs wasn't wide enough, and it slid down into my ear on a Thursday. And then on Friday, I went into it slid into my ear on a Friday. And then on Saturday, I went into the nurse, and the nurse pushed it deeper in. And so I had this this piece of foam wedged deep in my ear, right next to my eardrum, the entire weekend. And then Indian doctor comes back in on Monday, takes the gator clips. Oh, the relief. The relief. The relief. Can't describe it with words. Yeah. Yeah, that happened. Yeah. Ain't all fun and games. You know, one of the things that grounds Null tremendously is the fact that he has a community in Kiwi Farms. That gives him something to fight for instead of these talking heads who are unloyal to anybody. And why would they be? They're only loyal to their paychecks. It's also good to have a leader. It's a good feeling to have a leader. That leader has to carry the weight of all of his subjects. And so, the sovereign induces productivity and pragmatism in his systems. Does he earn his sovereignty over the people that reside? I love Brendano tremendously. And I love every animal from bird to bug and everything in between. But Brendano was putting down dog owners a little bit, just a touch, and praising the superiority of cat keeping, right? And this is right before today, when his new cat truck sprayed diarrhea all over his monitor and tore up the tablecloth. Yeah, win for cat owners, right? No. Come on, guys, bring it together. Love each other. Love each other. Love each other. Love each other. Sing with me, Reshiram. Whoa, 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 whoa. To a point that he made earlier, how come every mascot horror game is about turning kids into monsters? Who? Why? What? Why are we normalizing child abuse? Israel? Is that who's turning kids into creatures? Is that what's going on? Come on, get it together. I mean, mascot horror's already kind of fallen off, but it was big over the last 4 years. I think that personally, like, destroyed Jacksepticeye's career when he got super deep into mascot horror like he was Markiplier. No, bro, you're the Subnautica guy, bro. Top of the morning to ya, laddies! You're the Subnautica, bro. You're the Subnauseous guy. Come on. You gotta keep with your theme, which is slightly more intelligent than the stupid mascot horror. Ah, well. I'm serious though. How many like Resident Evil, Silent Hill clones do we need? Where you go around, you kick a P card, you go explore the spooky place, or you run away from the guy, you hide in the thing, and oh, you got me, oh, so scary. I really dislike the Alien Isolation sort of games. I liked the original Last of Us, right? So going around and strategically sneaking and assassinating clickers and stuff like that. That was pretty good. But I do not like the hide from an unkillable giant creature, sneak around, hide from an unkillable, do the thing, run. It's so lame. Use the same exact scenario over and over and over again. Don't like it. I didn't like it. Gives you a little bit of a thrill in the back of your neck, but like it's really played out. So not a fan of the whole Alien Isolation thing. I do think what they were trying to do with the microphone, as spyware-y as it is, was kind of intelligent and kind of interesting, though. I will say that. Given the billionaires are becoming trillionaires, what is actually an appropriate minimum wage? You know what I'm saying? You just got to put the macroeconomy in the perspective, and it's just like, everybody should be paid a tremendous amount more. The top should pay that person more, and that person should be able to pay that person more. So it should come with like contracting to allow the entire economy to flourish. But like the billionaires are becoming trillionaires for a reason, and the millionaires became billionaires for a reason. And the entire time America has gone way downhill. And now we're just straight up lying about what China's doing, saying that they're defying the laws of physics, which is impossible, so that we can get more and more and more and more. The Pentagon costs $1 trillion a year. Most of that goes back into heavily Democrat Virginia. Like, really, Trump should genuinely cut 50% of the military budget like he proposed. Not this. Well, let's give it a year. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. And if the billionaires were actually for population growth, the millionaires and billionaires. If the billionaires were actually for population growth, you'd think they'd invest in a better economy, raising the standard wages of everyone down the ladder, knocking off property tax for expecting parents. That's a big one. That's a good one. Giving a stipend per child. That's something that Viktor Orban in Hungary does. It's showed very, very good effects so far. Elon Musk can be the world's first trillionaire and make a complete fool of himself and us all, or he could actually fix the birth rate like he says that he wants to, whether or not in his heart he intends that or not, or whether he's just speaking it because it's the right-wing populist thing to speak. That's for history to tell. And so far, it's not looking too good, Musk bros, Doge bros. We really got to get our act together. We really got to work on that a little bit. So, this is a good episode for today. Hope everybody has a great weekend, a wonderful Sunday. Praise the Lord. And have a good one. Cheers.